I am your host, Dr. Fredrick D, II, and this is the podcast where we explore the human side of leadership through emotional intelligence, lived experience, and the courage to change. Back in bonus episode number 6, Men Are Not Okay, we began a conversation that resonated deeply across gender lines. We peeled back the layers of a quiet crisis, the emotional health struggles men face when they are taught from childhood that to feel is to fail. We talked about what happens when generations of boys are told, big boys don't cry, and how that simple phrase becomes a lifelong prison sentence. We explored the neuroscience and psychology behind it through social cognitive theory, which tells us that learning happens through observation, imitation, and reinforcement. And that's where this story really begins. From an early age, boys don't just hear what's said to them. They watch what's modeled. They observe which emotions are rewarded, which are mocked, and which are punished. They notice that girls are allowed to cry, to be comforted, to express fear, while boys are told to toughen up. They see fathers, coaches, and cultural icons modeling stoicism, aggression, or control as the currency of manhood. Through observational learning, they internalize a powerful but damaging script. If I show emotion, I lose respect. If I cry, I'm weak. If I'm vulnerable, I'm less of a man. But emotions are not weakness. They are the body's way of speaking truth before the mind can translate it. The problem is, men have been taught to silence that truth. And that silence doesn't just shape individuals. It shapes families, relationships, and even how men lead. That's what today's conversation is about. We're asking the deeper question. Why do men think natural human emotions are a sign of weakness? And what happens to the people who love them because of it? I am honored to welcome today's guest, Tayana, joining us from McKinney, Texas. Tayana is a licensed esthetician, a professional whose work centers on helping people feel confident and whole in their own skin. But what makes her voice so powerful in this conversation isn't just her profession, it's her perspective. When I asked Tayana what qualifies her to talk about emotional health and masculinity, she said, degrees in failed relationships. Does that count? And that honesty is precisely why she's here. Because Tayana has witnessed firsthand how men in their family and community were taught that being emotionally vulnerable was somehow feminine or even gay. She's seen the weight that message carries, the way it silences men, hardens relationships, and creates emotional distance in places where connection should live. Today, she joins us not as a clinician, but as a woman with lived experience, someone who's watched the men around her navigate a culture that equates feelings with weakness and silence with strength. I thank you so much for being here. Am I pronouncing your name correctly when I say Tayana?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Because so many people mess it up. I spent 42 years correcting people on how to pronounce my name.
Okay. All right.
Yes, so thank you.
Well, I appreciate you being here because, your perspective it's real, it's relatable, and it's absolutely necessary. Your participation here is going to bring, a voice to so many women who love men, throughout their life journeys and who are ready to rewrite that story. So I want to start by asking you, as a woman observing and engaging with men, when do you think this idea that emotion equals weakness, when do you think that idea first takes root?
See, I think it starts at a very young age for men.
Mhm.
Because I know I heard it as a child to my male cousin and, young men on the playground and things of that nature. I would hear boys aren't supposed to cry.
Mhm.
Man up. Don't do this. Don't show emotion. That's not a manly thing. So I think it starts at a very young age, even as young as 2 and 3 years old, when kids are just showing their natural human emotions.
Yeah.
When they're hurt, they cry. When their feelings are hurt, they cry or they sulk or, they get mad. They want to lash out. And I think it's very harmful to our men, especially our Black men, to not have a safe space to show their emotions other than anger and frustration.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, I think it starts very young, unfortunately.
So in your observations, when you're seeing this on the playground, are you seeing this from other adults or are you seeing this from other children?
Both. I would hear because you had the playground monitors when we were in elementary school and grade
Mhm.
school and things of that nature, and some of the male teachers, even some of the female teachers, would pick up that crazy rhetoric of boys don't cry. What are you crying for? Man up! It didn't hurt. You're fine. And I would hear it from other kids on the playground as well, or other young boys would tease the young man that was crying. So it made it very tough growing up.
Mhm.
I mean, I would hate to have been born a dude and not been able to show or be chastised for showing my true natural emotions. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that part. That part, people don't understand that when you say that to a child, okay, so I can speak to experience, right? Like, what does that feel
Mhm.
like to be told, "Well, boys don't cry?" Well, the conversation kinda ends and you're left not knowing, "Well, what do I do?" Like,
Right.
that statement doesn't stop me from wanting to cry. It doesn't stop me
Exactly.
from feeling what I was feeling when I was going to cry the last time, but you told me boys don't cry, so what do boys do? What do
What am
we
I
do?
supposed to do? Pick up a rock and throw it at somebody?
Because I still feel it.
Right.
I
Like
still
this
feel
still
it.
hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah. No
still
one
hurts.
told no one told us, well, what do we do? If boys don't cry, what do they do? Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The sentence was left unfinished. And so you're left to figure it out, right? So you look at, well, what are the men doing that I see, right? If you have a
Mhm.
father around, if you have uncles, older cousin, like who are the men that you are observing as you're growing up? So you're gonna watch them, right?
Exactly.
That's usually what you're going to do for the example if no one's telling you what to do with those emotions. Because see, women, little girls are often encouraged to express their emotions, right? They
Exactly.
or someone will sit with them to talk to them, to connect. There's that nurturing that little
Mhm.
girls receive. Do you think that contrast deepens the emotional gap between men and women later? Because eventually they're going to grow up.
Do you believe so? Because now you have this whole back and forth between grown adult women, grown adult men, and men are saying, well, women are overly emotional. You do, you cry when you're mad, you cry when you're happy, you cry when you're sad, you cry when you're this, and you just overthink and then that and the other. And the only time we ever see a man emotional, like actually crying or being joyful or something like that, is at a funeral, at a
Mm,
wedding, some at the birth of their children, and that's the last time. Because I can probably count on one hand, one single hand, five whole fingers, how
mhm,
many times I've actually seen my dad cry.
mm, yeah.
Now, like and my dad's a big, strong man. Like my dad's 6'3". He's got the wingspan of a giant. Like he's a big man. Like, and
Mm,
I can only remember ever seeing him cry maybe 3 times, 4 times in my whole entire life.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think that whole the gap of crazy, it bamboozles me
Hmm.
how people think that, like I said, showing emotion is just one sided. It's just based on female traits
Yeah.
and not human nature. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it boggles my mind. It really does.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
mind.
That makes perfect sense, right? Because then you're left, as a woman, like, okay, well, I know how I feel in these situations, and I know
Mhm.
what I was taught. Well, you absolutely cannot just walk through life without feeling anything. So
Exactly.
how is it that you're able to handle life circumstances without being able to process what you're feeling? I've often said we raise boys to be strong. Well, we don't raise boys to be strong. We raise them to be numb. We teach them
Right.
to be numb as our way of trying to make them.
Mhm. Mhm.
What have you observed, right, about that numbness? Okay, you've only seen your father cry a handful of times in his
Mhm.
his long life. How does that
Mhm.
play out in adulthood, especially in communication and intimacy?
Wow. For me, I can speak on my last relationship.
Mm,
The only time I ever saw this man cry was when his brother passed away, his grandmother passed away, and his aunt. and him being able, because I'm a very outwardly emotional person. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry. Music hits me. I cry. It's like, it's tears of joy. It's all of these things, or I laugh, or I do all the things. And not being with someone that is quote unquote emotionless, they didn't know how to relate to me in that moment. They didn't know what to do in those moments. So they're like, why are you crying? Like, they just sit there and was like, pat me on my head, like, oh, woo, woo, woo. Are you okay? Like, oh, this is foreign to me. What am I supposed to do in that moment? It's like a lot of men that I have dealt with don't know how to deal with someone who is just outwardly expressive with their emotions. And I'm very outwardly expressive with everything. So being with someone that doesn't know how to like handle that, doesn't know how to navigate their own emotions, so they're totally out of tune with what's going on with me, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard to find someone that can handle. Oh,
Yeah.
I hate that word. I'm not cattle, but that can deal with,
Or respond.
like,
Someone who knows how to respond to
respond. Yes,
your type of
exactly.
emotional expression, right? That's got to be,
Exactly.
that's difficult. Like, how does that, let's call it emotional silence, right? That emotional silence that men tend
Hmm.
to have. How does that affect your ability to trust, your ability to feel safe in that relationship, or your
I
ability
don't feel safe.
to connect? Yeah.
For me, I don't feel safe expressing how I feel because it could be triggering for my partner.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole time I'm trying to keep the peace between us and not, ruffle any feathers and not show that I'm feeling this way because I don't want him to feel this way. Like, I'm trying to keep the peace within that, but I'm warring with myself on the inside. Like, I'm literally battling to get these emotions out. And then it creates a divide. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
both shut down and there's no communication because no one wants to talk about what's really going on. So
Mm-hmm.
it creates this weird like tug of war for like power
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
within that dynamic.
Yeah.
So
Do you think this is okay? I'm not sure how, what you see on social media, but from time to time, I see people on social media from these other
toxic.
podcasts and whatnot, then talking about these overly masculine women, these women who don't submit, these women who won't do all of these things. Do you think
Hmm.
that is connected to this difference in emotional expression?
I might have to say yes or no because for I know for women, like, we want that safe space within a relationship. And it's up. And I've always been told that men are the thermometers for the relationship. Like, you guys set the atmosphere, you set the tone for how the household is going to be. If you're walking around on eggshells and mad and angry and this, that, and the other, the whole house is going to feel that. But I also believe that us, meaning Black women, Black men, because we were taught to Black women especially were taught to be strong and how to survive without our men. We had to pick up that masculine energy. We had to tap into that just for survival because our men were taken away from us. Transatlantic slave trade, Jim Crow, the whole thing. Like, our men were literally
Right.
stripped away from the household. So we had to kind of tap into being the mom and the dad and the caregivers, the providers. I don't want to have to do that. It's just something that was just kind of ingrained in us
Right.
from the time we were brought here.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah.
I hate that rhetoric. I hate that it's so much divide between us as
Yeah.
Black men and Black women, that so much of that is like, well, I don't need them. They don't need us, when it's, it was literally set up that way by design.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was literally set up because society knows that a strong Black unit is detrimental to their norms.
Right.
It
That's
would
that's the part.
crush,
It's
it would literally crush
it
what
doesn't
they implemented into us. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
a
hate it.
challenge. It presents a challenge to the system if that's allowed to
Hmm.
happen naturally, right? They
It
will
really does.
evolve in a way to where they won't be dependent on the system, i.e. Tulsa, i.e. Rosewood, i.e. all the other areas, Sugar Hill, i.e. all of that, Lake Lanier, i.e. all of that.
I.e., all the things. But the list can go on. If that list would
Right, all the
be,
examples of like, this is what you will get if you just leave Black people alone, right?
just
Even
leave us alone.
with your systems, right? Because they did all of this in spite of the systems that still existed, right? Like they
But
can evolve away from you, even with your oppression, when you just leave them alone.
but
So back to the emotions here. In your
mhm.
experience, how can women support men in unlearning that emotional silence without feeling like they're crying or that they're feeling the weight of their healing? How can women support men through this?
Be a safe space for him. Like so many men, well, that I know in my own personal circle. I can't speak for all men. I can't speak for all women. But the men in my circle who have been with women, and the women are like, you can confide in me. I'm here for you. I'm this, that, and the other. The moment things go left, that very thing that he felt safe enough to confide in her about gets thrown back in his face. It's
Mm,
used as ammunition. And a lot of women will say that, please confide in me. I want to be there for you, only to use that, put that in her back pocket. So when something goes awry, she's like, oh, well, you weren't saying that when you was crying and da 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 da.
okay. Yeah. I
So
see what you're saying.
if
Yeah.
you're going
I
to
see
be
what
a
you're saying.
safe space,
Yeah.
be a safe space. Like, let that man be, let him tap into his femininity. Like, allow him to be safe, allow him to feel secure, just the same way you want to be safe and secure with,
Mhm.
from that safety and security from him. Provide that for him as well.
Yeah. You have to model and be the example that
Exactly.
you want to see. Yeah, I've what you're describing is it's like, okay, now in this argument, this disagreement that we're having, she's hitting below the belt, right? You're taking
Mhm.
something I said to you or that was said to her in
Mhm.
confidence or in a vulnerable state, and now
Mhm.
you're throwing it back at me. Oh, that's why you this, and this, and oh,
Exactly.
yeah. So you're just reinforcing to him, oh, see, this is happening
This
to
is
me. You
why.
can't share this. Had I not shared this and kept it,
Mhm.
bottled up, this would
Yep.
be happening. So it reinforces to him that emotional silence.
Exactly.
So women have to model uh
Model that behavior.
and the
And not
security.
only that, like, stop mothering him.
Okay.
Stop mothering. I was guilty of this in past relationships, of mothering. Didn't
Ooh.
realize that that's what I was doing. I thought I was just being courteous and kind and,
How
just a
give me an example
nurturer.
of how are you mothering him? What were you doing? Tell me about that.
Okay, so I dated this man for a very long time. And it used to irk me that he would wear his contacts to bed. He didn't take them out. Da, 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 da. So I would make his appointments for him. I would show up to the appointment with him because I know he wasn't going to tell the doctor the absolute truth. That was me.
That's a lot. And you're just dating like this is not some
And I'm just thinking, like, I'm trying to help you out and keep you from going blind, sir. Not realizing that I'm being his mama. Like, hey, don't forget to take your contacts out tonight. Hey, don't forget you need to clean.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. In your effort to be mindful and thoughtful of his physical health, right? Obviously, going to sleep with your contacts is bad for your eyes, but
It was the way I was going about doing
you
so.
were
Like,
enabling him.
yes, it was the language I was using. Like, I should have been a little softer about it. I shouldn't have been like, hey, you know better. You
Mhm.
know you shouldn't be doing all of this. I should have
Okay.
been a little,
Okay. I see what you're saying. So, like
hmm
your approach, your tone, the way you,
yeah, to my
yeah.
tone. It was,
Okay.
yeah,
It came from
I
that
shouldn't have done that.
mother.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't
So
have done that. Hmm.
how can couples and families, how can we begin to break this cycle? How can we start to create emotional equity between the genders?
I mean, I've seen a lot of men, especially tapping into therapy, like especially like my generation and even younger. Because I think like my generation and the generation under me or under us, I should say, because I think we're about the same age. They're getting away from that toxic masculinity, that men are not just a wallet, men are not just Tim the Toolman Taylor, men are not just these surface level type things. Like they're humans, they have emotions, they want to cry, they want to be joyful, they want it. I've seen that shift recently. So I think just having the conversations with our fathers or our uncles or whatever male figure that we had, and asking them to just sit down and asking those questions, like, why is it? Were you taught this way? Like, what was it about your upbringing that made you feel this way? And why do you feel that you couldn't express any type of emotion toward me? Or
Yeah.
why? And just really just getting out of the stigma that therapy is for white people and white people only. Like, we don't talk about what goes on in this house stays in this house type situation. Getting away from that whole rhetoric is I've seen the shift. I've seen the shift happening. My life, the shift of this healthy man, this healthy whole man being able to not just exist, but just to to be and live life and experience everything that life has to offer. And I'm loving that. And I think that's one way we can do it is just by having the conversation.
Yeah.
Just be open to the conversation and not shut down, and really sit down with our fathers and our grandfathers. They're still here, and say, hey, what's up? Like, talk to me. What was it that was ingrained in you that shifted from you being this emotional child to this stone-faced brick wall that doesn't show emotion unless somebody's dying or
Yeah.
something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I think that would definitely
Yeah.
help the divide. And mamas, stop babying your son.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. But just allowing our young Black men to just feel, allowing them to feel, and not using their feelings against them, allowing them to sit within their emotions, to kind of process everything, to know that it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to feel joy. It's okay to feel sadness. It's okay to feel love and adoration. It's okay to just feel those feelings.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it'll be a lot better for us as a community if we can just get back to just a place of love.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really what it is. I think it's a lack of love
Yeah.
within them.
I absolutely agree with you. I also feel that there is a shift, right? Just in the types of conversations I've had with, like some of my straight friends, guys at work, my boss, right, who have told me, oh, I've recently started there. Like, all of these people have been in there, right? Every single one of them opens the conversation the exact same way. Um, this is what I learned in therapy, or I talked about this in therapy. And I'm like, that's great. And to your point, like, we need more of that. Like, we need more spaces where men can share, I think, with other men,
Right.
what they're feeling, and that will start to form, like, those new behaviors will start to form new neural connections. So in the future, when they start to feel or they start to have those emotional responses, they're able to choose different behaviors, right? The body knows there's a different way of going about this. I don't have to act out rage and all of this, manly beat my chest kind of stuff. Because that's all it is, right? Like, he doesn't know, like, there's only like a handful of emotions that we can name. Everything else gets turned into one of those. And then there's only so many ways I can respond to this because of the way society has
Exactly.
set the rules. So
Exactly.
I genuinely appreciate your participation. You never know with these people on social media, right? That, slide into your comments.
You never know.
You never know what you're gonna
Never
get. I'm
know.
like, who is this woman? Is she gonna talk, or she just wanna
No, I was honestly not expecting a response to the invite or anything like that. And when I tell you, my nerves have been bad all day. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god,
Yeah.
is this really happening? Because normally I would have talked myself out of this situation.
Yeah.
I would have come up with some type of excuse not to do this. But in my recent, coming of age type situation, my come to Jesus moment, I'm like, you never know what could come of this. Just put yourself out there, because I don't like being on camera. I don't like my voice on camera. I feel like I sound 12 no matter what I try to do. Even when I try to do like something like sultry and seductive, I sound like a 12-year-old. Oh, so really, I really hope it because it starts with a simple conversation. It just starts with the conversation and be open enough and honest enough within the conversation to express change, express how you're feeling, to just kind of just open the door. Just open the door. You don't have to walk through the door right away, but you can peep in. You can peep in the door, and it's like to come through the door. Come on through.
You've given language to what so many people feel about this topic that they just can't seem to articulate. And even if
Mhm.
were anxious earlier today, I think, what you shared can be impactful. Specifically, emotional suppression isn't, it's not just silence, it's disconnection. Like it's
Yeah, it's
part
the
of
whole disconnect.
the issue that could be happening in some people's relationships, whether it be a familial relationship or a romantic relationship. And
Mhm.
you've reminded us that emotional intelligence isn't gendered, it's human, right? Like whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to have a reaction to what you're encountering in your environment. That is not specific
Exactly.
to what's between your legs or what's not between your legs. Like that is just outrageous to me. And I think that
It's
when
totally insane.
when men and women both engage in emotional regulation and emotional conversations, we can move from surviving relationships to transforming them. So I
Exactly.
appreciate you. Thank you so much for
Well,
coming.
thank you for having me. I feel it's a weight off my shoulders because I'm sweating over
Are
here
you
right now,
okay? Well,
honey.
you did well, so you can relax. You can turn your ceiling fan on high. You can go get
Because
you
that's what's gonna happen.
some sweet tea or lemonade or something to cool off.
It's gonna be spiked with a little whiskey, but sure, I'm gonna
Oh, that's fine too. That's fine
have it.
too. Ain't nothing. Pour a little crown in there. That's okay. A little crown.
Yes, sir. Yes, just a little. Just a little sprinkle, sprinkle. Take the
Yeah,
edge off.
yeah. Well, thank you once again for stopping
No,
by, and you are
thank
welcome anytime.
you.
Feel free to reach out, say hi, and be on the lookout. You're gonna see yourself out there
Oh my
once I get
God,
this put together.
that is so nerve wracking. That is so nerve wracking.
You're gonna be fine.
I'm so nervous.
You're gonna be
Okay.
fine. You did
Okay.
well. You did well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. Every episode of Leadership Lessons ends with those change moves, the practical ways to turn awareness into action. Here are today's change moves that have been inspired by the conversation we just had with Tiana. Number one, normalize emotion as human, not gender. Challenge the narrative that some feelings are feminine. Sadness, fear, and tenderness are human experiences, not gender coded behaviors. Self awareness helps men recognize that emotion is not a flaw in strength, it's a function of humanity. Instead of asking, what's wrong? Try, what are you feeling right now? Replace interrogation with invitation. Empathy builds psychological safety, turning vulnerability into connection. Women, show that emotional expression doesn't weaken. It deepens relationships. Men, model emotional regulation openly. Your sons and colleagues are watching. Observational learning creates new cultural norms through consistent modeling. Courage isn't the absence of emotion, it's the willingness to face it. Encourage men to redefine power as presence, not suppression. Self regard and resilience grow when men integrate vulnerability into leadership. Healing requires connection. Encourage circles, therapy, brotherhood, and couples dialogue. When men heal together, they rewrite the emotional DNA for the next generation. Social skill and empathy drive emotional re education and collective resilience. Emotions aren't weakness, they're wisdom trying to be heard. If men are not okay was about awareness, this conversation is about awakening. We've seen that emotional suppression isn't strength, it's survival. But men were never meant to live in survival mode. They were meant to live in connection. Through the lens of social cognitive theory, we now understand this clearly. The same way boys learn to suppress emotions by watching others, they can unlearn it through modeling, through seeing healthy men feel, cry, and connect without shame. And as we've heard today, that unlearning doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in relationships with women, with family, with community. Because when men begin to feel, families begin to heal. When men learn to listen to their emotions, they learn to lead differently, with empathy instead of ego, with presence instead of pretense. So, to the men listening, your emotions don't make you weak, they make you whole. And to the women listening, you are not responsible for fixing the men you love, but you are powerful in modeling what emotional safety looks like. Let's rewrite the script together. Subscribe today to Leadership Lessons with Dr. Fredrick D on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. And visit leadershiplessons.transistor.fm for more conversations that connect emotional intelligence to leadership and life. Until next time, be aware, be courageous, and lead with emotional intelligence. I'm Dr. Fredrick D, and this has been your leadership lesson in life.